Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Midweek Live. Yes, it's not really our normal spot, is it? Because we've moved it, Kenny, so that we could come on. Because tomorrow night we are back at Ibrox finally. Looking forward to it already.
Very much so. It'll be a nice night for it as well, mate. Apparently it's a little bit cloudier tomorrow, but still up in the 20 degrees or 20 degrees plus, so it should be a nice night for it.
It certainly should be. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to report that in attendance tomorrow night will be Broxy Bear. Rangers have put up the bail money, Kenny, after that terrible accusation that he made some gestures to the away support and riled them up. God forbid, all Broxy should do such a thing. Free Broxy, Kenny, I think, is trending on Twitter. It certainly should be.
Do you know what, mate? It's his wife and his children I feel for at this minute in time. He's going through a hard time today, and you've got to laugh. I mean, what are they all about? I mean, have you ever seen a mascot have a go at an away support before? And if you haven't, you don't really know football. So, yeah, poor Broxy,
What was that big sign there? I hang out the flag of war, except for the big cuddly bear on the pitch. Like he waved at me.
Their mascot hurted my feelings.
Well, we'll hope to get an update. Maybe we'll have to do a whip round and get some bail money for Broxy at this rate, but I'm sure it should be okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Huge thanks to our sponsors, CBD Oil Scotland, your last chance to get in on the draw on the website for the West Ham hospitality tickets. I did say that we'd probably draw it tonight, but I'm not organised, so we're not going to draw it tonight because I've not done it. And I've not got the list of names and stuff like that. So is it my fault? Yeah, pretty much. So we'll extend it for a couple of days. So if you want to go on the website, quote 4 lads, you get 30% off and you can still win those hospitality tickets for West Ham. Also, thanks to our sponsors, Candid LBJ Consultants, Elite Scooter Scotland, Metaclad, 4 Lads official roofing partners, and Aesthetics by Sharon, where you can get 10% off if you book using 4 Lads code or use 4 Lads on the website. Kenny, we're still waiting for transfer news. Vanya Dragojevic is apparently in the country. So who knows when that announcement's going to come. But the biggest news today is the independent inquiry into Scottish Cup quarter-final last season. Basically, Rangers are to blame for some things. Celtic are to blame for the others. Rangers' failings, basically, we delayed confirming the away allocation, which they battled against, but were told to give 8,000 tickets to the away support. Our risk assessment wasn't strong enough. Celtic's safety officer was not apparently consulted, and no contingency for forced tickets or forced entry. We're also the ultras, flares thrown, missiles thrown, stand manager being hospitalised. Rangers have allowed ultras to gain disproportionate influence, which is interesting. Celtic failings, Green Brigade ban ineffective. They were openly discussing seating for the banned Green Brigade during planning meetings, despite them being banned. Gate crashed in numbers, overwhelming the police. Targeted weak areas and security measures, forced entry of hundreds with no tickets, meaning massive overcrowding. Celtic fans caused the pitch invasion, went onto pitch first, blamed as a catalyst for causing the trouble that followed. Kids hit with coins, damage to the stadium, desecration of the victims of the Ibrox disaster as well. The independent report, incidentally, doesn't mention the SFA's failings in that. Rangers were forced into this situation. They were forced into giving Celtic 8,000 tickets. They made the precedent. They didn't want to do it because, remember the week before, Rangers had Celtic visiting in the league and there was no trouble at all. 6 weeks later, they went to Parkhead and there was no trouble whatsoever. So Rangers were very much adamant that they didn't want that. So it was a bit of a whitewash, I feel. It is an independent review. The SFA didn't do it, but it's a bit suspect for me. And in certain places, I think more scrutiny on the SFA when there's been so much scrutiny on the clubs and everything would have been more welcome, in my opinion, Kenny.
Well, yeah, of course. What I will say here is that although it's an independent report into this, I get the feeling that the SFA are the ones that have instructed for it to happen. So they probably paid for it. So that's probably why you'll find the SFA, or if anything has been said about the SFA, it's probably been left out. What I would say, though, is as a football club, we need to take responsibility for our own failings on that. There's no question of that. I know that you have talked to those that we have to talk to before you come on here so that we know how Rangers feel about it, and that's fine. And they've talked to you privately about it, which is good. However, what I would say is that I'll look back at the time that we spoke about this, Stevie, and what we said at the time. And anybody that was there will probably still agree with this, despite this report today. I thought Police Scotland were very much at fault for this, and they've not been particularly put under scrutiny in this either. The onus and the responsibility seems to be pretty much laid at the door of Rangers and Celtic, which I actually think, personally, when you consider that it's the SFA's flagship tournament, the SFA should put their hands up and own this a little bit more than they have done. However, we're a Rangers podcast, and what we're going to do is focus on that particular report and what it means for Rangers. And what I would say is that, yeah, Rangers are in their statement today have been open enough and said that, yeah, we'll take on board what our feelings were, but we do feel and wish that others were doing the same. That's kind of where I'll stop with it. I'll let you have your say on it now, but I agree with you, and I'm being very careful about the way I word this, but I do feel that it's a little bit of a whitewash in terms of pointing the finger of blame at Rangers and Celtic, for that matter, and I believe that those other parties could have done a whole lot more.
Yeah, I think Rangers made it clear in their statement that in no way are the football club interested in returning to the old arrangement for Old Firm games. I think that's going to have killed that. So for away fans and things like that, it is what it is. Look, I think Rangers can look at what they failed to do and say, okay. I think Celtic can look at what they failed to do and say, okay on that. I don't think it's right at any football game that there should be that kind of chanting, that kind of damage done to the stadium. I don't think, we can sit and say that people that have rammed the turnstiles to try and get in and all that. I remember that happened at England, at Wembley, wasn't it? The final down south when the Euros were there. And that could have been catastrophic. But at the same time, as a football club, we can look at it and we can, say that we should organise things better. We can take responsibility. And I think that's all fair. And I think that Rangers have looked at it. I think the statement from Rangers is pretty good. I think Rangers have taken a very diplomatic view on it. Celtic, of course, would have paid for those damages. That will be discussed between the football clubs. And for Rangers, I think, we just get on with it, Kenny. I don't want to be in a position where I sit here and, slam people for it. I think that Celtic have their failings on it. Rangers have their failings on it. I used to love the Old Firms when it was the big allocations and everything else. Absolutely did. I thought hopefully we were getting somewhere back to it, but you simply cannot have our stadium getting wrecked, which it was. You cannot have the turnstiles and all that, thousands of pounds of damage, people going on the pitch and everything else. And it's interesting to me that Celtic play that down in their statements. So yeah, I'm really disappointed by what happened in that kind of side of it. For Rangers, I look at it from our point of view, I'm not really interested in what goes on over the road. I've said it time and time again. Look at my own feelings of our own club and stuff like that. And yeah, could we have organised things better? Could we have taken responsibility and stuff like that? Yeah, I think even the football club said that in their statement, Kenny. So it's disappointing. We'll get sanctions from it, won't we? So they've both been charged. So those sanctions are coming. And incidentally, Derek McInnes is up in front of the Beaks tomorrow, isn't he? So we'll find out his ban. Rangers have got an interesting precedent that they've found. Peter Grant, when he was in charge of was it Alloa at the time? I found it earlier on. He branded the SFA and the refereeing decision disgusting, and it's an interesting precedent because he actually got away with that, Kenny. And I think Rangers will cite that as being their precedent on that, because obviously they'll be defending Derek now, and that's in the papers tonight. So it'll be an interesting one. Who was Peter Grant in charge of? Let me just bring that up because I was reading it. It's in the So there is am I finding it? No. Alloa. Yeah, Peter Grant went unpunished. And he said at the time, 2 balls sitting behind the goal. We keep saying to him, and I get booked for it because I've said at the start, we get the usual 4 minutes added time. It's absolutely disgusting. Now, at the time, Derek McInnes said of the penalty decision, and he described that as disgusting also. And Peter Grant got away with that. So I think for Rangers, that's your obvious precedent right there, Kenny. Sorry, that was a wee bit. I wanted to check it was Alloa. I wanted to check what you'd said. I didn't have it to hand. It was something that was kind of past us, wasn't it, quite late on before we'd done the agenda of the pod. So apologies if I kind of spurted that out the wrong way. I didn't get it there at all. And I've just made an arse of delivering that as well, haven't I? So
listen, it will be interesting to see what happens with Derek McInnes on the situation with what's happened with us. We will look. What we'll do is we'll look after ourselves. Celtic's statement today is incredibly pious, incredibly self-righteous. It's nothing more than what we expect from them. They just don't believe they do any wrong. Meanwhile, everybody else has looked at it properly, and you could say quite fairly, and turn around and said that you instigated this. Your problems with the Green Brigade have spilled over into Ibrox, and where they have been spilling it into other grounds last season, week in, week out, and that's a fact. Now, whether they like it or not, getting a bill for £1.25 million and rising, as it were, the last time I heard about it, Stevie, is nothing short of preposterous. How can you cause over £1 million worth of damage? And they have to sometimes, whether it's your rivals or not, sometimes you actually have to look at that and actually take a little bit of responsibility for your own actions. And I don't believe that they're doing that. Whereas this is where you're glad you're a Rangers supporter and you see our club, and they will take responsibility for their failings. And that's where I kind of look at it. On the SFA with Derek McInnes, we will see the fact that Elliot Watt got a 4-game ban last week for saying nothing more than what the entire planet believed to be the case. It shows you that they're a law unto themselves, and they think that they can do whatever they like. And if I happen to be the owner of Motherwell or the CEO of Motherwell, I would actually be looking at taking that all the way, because I think that is incredibly unjustified to give anybody a 4-game ban for that particular comment on that particular decision. And anybody that thinks that looking at that and making your decision within 14 seconds, which John Beaton did, when there is no clear and obvious error, is mystifying. So what Derek McInnes has said, yeah, it's quite controversial, but it's also absolutely true, whether the SFA like that or not. So I would be very careful if I were the SFA about the way they go about this, because, as I say, they seem to want to stamp down on certain things and ignore others. That's the way I'll put this. Other things that are far more important to the game than people being peed off or angry at incredible decisions. Stevie, can you give me one little second?
You've muted yourself, and then you said, "Could I give you one little second?" And then you've muted yourself and left. So yeah, I don't think I've got a choice, ladies and gentlemen. But that's Kenny's Avon, no doubt, at the door. What we will talk about is David Hopkins. You may remember him. Not very many teeth used to play for Scotland in the 90s. He has been appointed head of academy recruitment. Ex-Morton, Bradford City, and Livingston manager. Played with Morton and Crystal Palace. Done a similar role with Crystal Palace as well. He was the one that was factored with taking as a boy Flaherty or something. He took the boy down the road, I think from St Mirren. He's doing quite well at Palace. So a good appointment for the club. One that came right out of the blue. I'd never heard of that at all. But he's in, and he's a new scout at the club. What do you make of that, Kenny, head of academy recruitment? He must be replacing Jamie Fowler then, because he went to Newcastle United, so that must be the like-for-like replacement. I'm just catching up on this as much as I'm telling people with being at work all day. I'm just catching up with him myself, but it seems like he's got a decent pedigree.
He very much has, Stevie, and he's one of those players that are ex-players that kind of passed by up here, and he made a good career for himself down south at Crystal Palace, and went into management, and he's been in recruitment for quite a while now. Done a fantastic job with Crystal Palace. Clearly has an eye for young talent. I think that's why he's there. That's why he's the head of the recruitment at the youth level for us, because that's what he's been doing at Crystal Palace, and has had a very decent track record down there. And Crystal Palace's recruitment in general is fantastic. We know that anyway. But look, it's one of these things that I'm like you. I just did not see that coming. It was like wow. But I like it. I actually think it's a very clever and astute move. It's Dougie Friedman was down there. He's done a fantastic job. He worked under him, and he's definitely got something about him. And if he can bring even just 3 or 4 players, which he did with Crystal Palace, from Scotland down there, if you can do the same for us and you get the talent when it's before the Premier League clubs come sniffing around, Stevie, then you're winning a watch. We know this because we've discussed this at length over the last couple of months now, because of young Ashton Scally and Kyle Glasgow, and what we're doing to give them a pathway into the senior game. And it's fantastic that we're looking at that. And as I say, getting a guy from a Premier League club and getting him to come here, for me, is a bit of a coup. I'm delighted with it.
Yeah, he seems to. I can't be an expert on him. He seems to come with a good pedigree, and they talk very highly of him. So that's a good thing. Ryan Nadiri was speaking today. He gave a press conference. There was no Derek McInnes press conference ahead of the game against St Etienne tomorrow night. But it was just Ryan Nadiri that spoke. He says he's really enjoying working under Derek McInnes. He loves pre-season. It was about bonding and getting the chemistry right about the squad. It was about working hard too, but being able to play with the teammates and do the kind of live in each other's pockets. They were playing paddle, etc. It made it fun as well. But he wants to be clear. He knows it's about competition. Loves it at Rangers, but he doesn't want to be on the bench. He understands that if 2 players are playing well in training and things, they're maybe the one that starts. So it's up to him to make sure that he's one of them. He likes that Derek McInnes has an air of authority, but enjoys a laugh and a joke at the right times. And he also said about Derek as well, Kenny, which I thought was interesting, that he really tries to get to know his players and takes a personal interest in them all the time, which I think is quite nice.
It is, and that's the second or third player that's actually made a comment on that, which I like, that they're liking the approach that Derek McInnes is bringing to this. That you might be a player that in his squad, but you're a person, you're a boy, you're a man that he wants to get to know as a person, and I really like that. I think that's a cracking trait in any person, in any human being, that you are an amiable and friendly person. While he also turned and said, but he has that authority that you have to listen when it comes to football. You listen, but he will take that time to turn around and understand you as a person. That's brilliant, and it's. I thought it was a quite an insightful little interview from Ryan Nadiri, because you're looking at a boy who has only turned up 6 months ago. He's fully aware. There's 4 strikers. I'm away again. Four strikers, and there's only going to be 2 places. So therefore, he knows that he's going to have to be at the top of his game, Stevie, and that's all you can hope for. That when the squad, when the 4 strikers know there's only going to be 2 places, that you expect them all to be at the top of their game.
Yeah, definitely. I think, look, I'm on record as saying that I quite like Ryan Nadiri. I'd like to see more from him, but I'd like to see more from all my players. Quite demanding that way. That I believe that Ryan Nadiri is someone that can score goals and make goals. I think his injury really cost Rangers because he's very good in the press. He's very good in that 10 position where he can push on and things like that as well. So I've not seen his interview yet. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but he is somebody I quite like, and I quite think that the 4 up front is quite decent for me. I'm a big fan of Lawrence Shankland. I'm glad he's here. Yusuf Chermiti has certainly turned around my opinion, and Nadiri we spoke about, but Bojan Majowski, I don't think he was that great last year season-wise, but he still bagged 13 goals. So if Bojan Majowski can hit form the way that we know he can play, could he get 20, 25 and make himself? So it's interesting. I don't think there's I think that Chermiti and Shankland are probably the way it's going to be. But I also think that in games with us being able to have so many subs, I think in games now, both of them are most likely to play all the time as well. So you could ask them to go and burst it for 60 minutes, and then we could switch it about a wee bit as well. So there's lots of options there. And yeah, as we kind of move towards St Etienne tomorrow night, what are you expecting, Kenny? I just can't wait to be back at Ibrox. I really can't. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's a nice night. I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of the new guys. Looking forward to seeing the big goalie. He was down getting his photos taken and all that, I think, yesterday outside Ibrox. So he was looking good. Hopefully we'll see a wee bit of him. Liam Kelly probably starts the game and he maybe comes on for a wee bit at the end. I think McCrory starts at right back. Romans at left. It'll be Big Fernandez and Godfrey, I think it will start. And then in the middle, it's a bit of a toss-up, isn't it? Because there's 108 midfielders to choose from. So in the strikers, it's 2 of the 4, and Curtis and Gassama and Ant-Man are your wide guys. So Tello, I think, arrives back tomorrow, doesn't he? So it's probably too soon for him, although he might jump on the bench. You just never know. But I'm looking forward to getting back and seeing all the guys in action. I normally ask you what kind of team you expect and that sort of thing, but for a friendly, you can't really, I don't think you can really talk that way, can you? Because it can be a bit of a hit and a miss in terms of, like, they might do 2 squads and things like that. But what are you looking forward to about tomorrow night, Kenny?
I think that's exactly what you've said, and you probably see the best part of 2 different sides tomorrow night. I think you'll have the majority, perhaps almost like 2 11s tomorrow night, and you'll probably see more of a starting 11 for next Friday on Sunday, I would imagine. But who knows the way Derek McInnes is going to do it. But I've decided, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, mate, but I've decided absolutely that I'm not going to give them the 10 minutes before I make up my mind. I'm going to make sure I give them at least 15 minutes this time to make sure that I've got it right, obviously, in terms of my judgment of new players. But it's just exciting, isn't it? It's just brilliant when you've got a nice summer's night, Stevie. You've got I think there'll be a decent enough crowd. I don't know what the crowd will be. It's Glasgow Fair. It's the summer holidays. We all obviously all know that there'll be an awful lot of people on holiday and stuff like that. But it gives, parents with young families the opportunity to go and take their kids to a game that they can't normally do. So it'll be interesting and it'll be nice. And it's exciting because we genuinely don't know what we're going to see, do we? It was similar last season under Russell Martin. It's been similar under a few years now. But the point is that you get the feeling there's an air of excitement about the Rangers supporters at this minute in time. We know, we discussed it last night, Stevie. We know Derek McInnes has got a job to do here, and it's a tough ask because we were third last season, so we've got to catch up to play. But that's exactly what we've got to do. We've got to play, catch up, and get our recruitment right. However, tomorrow night is just one of those games, mate. It's getting fitness in the legs, as I've said and time again with the pre-season stuff. It's making sure we are all fit and ready to go next Friday because that's far too important. We need to start well. We need to take the 3 points because if we do, we'll be sitting nice and pretty at the end of the night. That's the thing. That is it too early to put pressure on? Of course it is. However, it's never too early to put pressure on yourself. That's the issue. If you drop points right away, the pressure goes on you right away because the fans aren't going to be particularly happy. So the result for me tomorrow is almost irrelevant in terms of, we'll see what happens in terms of how many changes they make and stuff like that, Stevie. But the situation for me is to see what Derek McInnes is going to do with this team, how we're going to set up. Are the wingers going to go and play on the touchline? Are we going to play with two, or is it one with Justin behind? Are we going to play with two in the middle of the park? Is there going to be any surprises for us? That's all I'm excited about, just to see how we set up and how we go against a decent side.
Yeah, same. Very much looking forward to being back at Ibrox Stadium. I really hope there's a decent attendance. I'm expecting probably about 30,000 tomorrow night. I think that's kind of where we are. I would expect closer to the 40 mark for West Ham on Sunday. They'll bring up a big support as well, West Ham. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to see a bit of Dan Neil. I'd like to see a bit of Pandur in goals. I'd like to see a bit of Godfrey at the back. And then obviously Shankland up front. So, yep. Do we expect maybe a wee half-time announcement or a beforehand announcement for Vanya Dragicevic, Kenny? Well, I think we probably do. We're no further on than when we discussed it last night. We know he's in Scotland. We know the medical's been done, things like that. There's just a wee bit of things to go through with the old visa and stuff like that. I got there in the end, almost as long as it's taken him to get his visa. But yeah, he's going to be a Rangers player. It feels like we've said that for quite a few podcasts now, but he will be. Wouldn't surprise me if Rangers do a wee half-time or a wee before the game announcement that he's in the door, Kenny. It certainly looks that way now.
That's the rumour pages are kind of suggesting that as well today, Stevie, that there'll be a couple of announcements tomorrow, whether there's one or two or whoever, who knows. But yeah, again, the situation with it was his godmother or something like that, putting the picture up, it's just fantastic. It shows you, listen, if nothing else, it shows you the kid's excited, his family's excited about it. He's in the country. It's just the visa situation, I think, that is all that's holding this up now. And it's a pity because if it had turned up, maybe it will, if it had turned up today, he could have probably been training today and maybe got a wee 20 minutes tomorrow. You never know. But I'm happy that he's here because I genuinely do think that this boy will make a difference in the middle of the park. We have been crying out for specialised players and specialised positions, Stevie, and we've got one. And that's what's exciting about it. On the game again tomorrow, it's just exciting to see, to be back at Ibrox, to be back home, to sit down and enjoy a game of football. Because I don't know about you, but I quite enjoyed the World Cup, but by God, it ended up just too long for me. and you're sitting there giving it. I'd rather go to a game than sit and watching the telly. So I'm looking forward to it, mate. It's that simple. But whether we get announcements or not, we will wait and see. That's up to Rangers, obviously. But it'd be nice if we did.
Yeah, we'll just need to wait and see what tomorrow brings. We are expecting it's never done until it's done. All the reports are saying that it's close, so we'll just need to wait and see about that. Big thank you. I've not done this yet. I pulled it up on the page a few times, but a massive thank you to Colin Kerr, 1970, who's gifted 50 for Lads of Dream Rangers podcast memberships. We're well over 1,300 now. The response from you guys out there and the gifts and the support of the podcast is unbelievable. So a huge thank you, Colin. I really, really appreciate that. And to everybody in the comments and everybody that's watching. So yeah, on the Vanya Dragicevic thing, we don't know the ins and outs of deals. Nobody does. We can only go by what the press are reporting, which is that it's all done and dusted. He's in the country and it should be any minute now. Let's hope that's true. Let's hope we get an official update from Rangers very soon with it. Kenny, another report today. Reports in Cardiff saying that Cardiff are confident that they're going to be the ones to sign Jens Hertel. I'm not sure where that's coming from. You know, there was reports the other day that Rangers are in the spotlight and keen. I suppose it's going to change every day. As far as I'm aware, the stuff with Dahl is what I said last night. That is that Rangers are very interested in him. He's interested in Rangers. Is he one of Rangers' top targets and things? We need to wait and see how that progresses. But with Dahl, I think there's a kind of realisation that if he wants to come here, we need to get one or two out first. And he's actually said that in the press. So if he ends up signing for Cardiff have got themselves a terrific player. But I think this is going to be one of those sagas, Kenny, where every day there's a different story on it. Every day there's a different slant on it. Every day there's a new team looking at him. I think if Rangers really want this player, then we really should try and do it as quickly as possible. But I think from a fan's point of view, or from my point of view, I'm trying not to get up nor down on this one. I like him because I've seen some good clips of him scalping the ball in the net from midfield, and I really think we miss that. It's as simplistic as that for me. It's not like I have a dossier on the boy. Do I miss a guy that can rattle one in from midfield? We absolutely do. So would I like him? Yes. Am I going to get up nor down if we don't get this boy, or we do get him? I'll just need to wait and see how he gets on, because always seems to be every summer there's a transfer saga involving Rangers, one player or the other. And this year it's no different. Jens Hertel is that guy. We just have to wait and see. That's the only way we can put it.
Yeah, but I'm incredibly impatient with stuff like that, particularly with a good player. The boy looks a fantastic player to me, and that is my fear at the moment, that you're getting reports, and it is only down in Cardiff, and it might just be coming from Cardiff City themselves, that they feel quite confident they can get the player. However, according to the lad himself, his preference would be to come here. But that's the issue, Stevie. If somebody ends up offering his club Tromsø the money that they want, now that is a reported £8.5 million. It's a lot of money, Stevie. But if somebody, all we need to do is look at ourselves, the Rangers support, and he's catching our attention on a weekly basis because he's buying them in from 20, 25 yards every single week. So sooner or later, another club similar in size and stature to us, and with all respect to Cardiff City, who have come from League One, I don't know if that would be my preferred choice if I was a Norwegian lad and going to another country. I think I would want to go and play European football and challenge for a league, which I don't think, with all respect again to Cardiff, I don't think they're going to be able to do that in the first season back up in the Championship. It's such a tough league. So I don't know if that's, the greatest career move for the boy. However, if another club does come in for him, Stevie, and offers him the world, then we might lose this kid. And that's the problem for me. That I don't know. I get this every year. You get, as you say, you get a protracted deal that, ends up doing all our boxes in, and we just want it done. And you don't want to lose a kid like that. And I said yesterday, and I meant this yesterday on the podcast, we're going to have to be patient with this boy as well. Same with young Dragicevic as well. We have to be realistic, say they're only 20, but that's what we're buying is potential and ability. That's what we're doing. And we believe as a club clearly that, whether it's Dan Purdy and, Derek McInnes, they believe that they can progress these boys. And that's what's really exciting about it. So I understand what you're saying, and you're a more patient man than I, but I've lost my patience. I want him in now. Effectively, I want him here right now because he just looks a cracker.
I'm trying to remain grounded on it. If we get him, then I'll be really happy about it. But he's one of the ones where I've seen enough clips of him to be thinking, yeah, I really do want him, and then I don't want to be too up nor down. Blue Devil is saying that Dal's in town, that he's in a hotel in Glasgow and things like that. Blue Devil, I hope you're right. We'll just need to wait and see on that one. I would absolutely love it if that was true. But if he goes to Cardiff, then wish him all the best. That's his choice. I really just, I'm trying not to get too into this one, where I'm going to be really disappointed if he doesn't come. Another one, Kenny, that we're linked with, and I wasn't really aware. This has been quiet for a few weeks, but then there's reports today that we're really close to a deal for Sankwan Diawara, the big Troy centre-back, left-sided. However, there's now a suggestion that AC Milan have hijacked that and they want to put him in the under-23 squad with a view to his future. Interesting report from that. I don't even know what to make of that. I didn't even know a deal was close. It hasn't really been reported over here. He is a left-sided centre-back. And that's really all I know of this boy. Because we covered it a few weeks ago, didn't we? And then he's kind of went away and I just thought the deal was dead, and then it's came back in. So I think, again, that's just one to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That was one of the rumours that I seen today, that he'll be announced tomorrow, but it is strictly a rumour on one of the rumours pages, mate. That's all it was. But we again, being realistic, I'm going to contradict myself in what I said about Dal, but I want him in tomorrow. We're just going to have to be patient with stuff like that because, okay, it's AC Milan's under 23s, but it's still AC Milan, Stevie. That I don't care who you are. If you're a football player and AC Milan come calling, your head's going to get turned slightly. It's got to. They're a massive, massive football club and one of the most successful clubs in the world. So if they're coming to speak to you, you'll listen. There's no question of that. But then that means it'll probably come down to, I think he's 20 as well, isn't he? He is. He's a young boy. So it'll come down to the fact that Rangers are offering him first-team football, or does he see himself, or does he believe enough in himself to go to AC Milan and spend a year in their under-23s and then go and get into the AC Milan squad? It's entirely up to the player. But for me, it would be one of those things that I'd look at and being honest about myself. If that was me and I was a French lad at 20 years of age, I'd listen to what AC Milan have got to say. I've got to be honest. So it is one of these things. We'll need to wait and see if that happens, Stevie. But hopefully we can get that one over the line. Because again, going on the stats that I've read, I haven't seen much of this kid at all. But just purely on the stats, the boys get something about himself. So we'll wait and see what happens with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's completely fair. More reports today in Italy insinuating that Inter Milan are keeping tabs on Nico Raskin. He's got interest from Italy, from Villarreal, are in talks allegedly, and England as well as others. We know about that. John Souttar has got an abundance of teams looking at him from down south. Watford, Sheffield United, Cardiff, Leicester are all attributed to interest in John Souttar, so that will take time to work out, and then he's going to go. We're still waiting on Danny going back to Botafogo. Zebedee Lawson has went out on loan to Queen's Park. I should imagine, Kenny, that these things will start to quicken up. But I'm looking forward to it. It's just like we were saying last night, isn't it? Just like you need to wait for one, and then hopefully the rest will go as well.
It's like buses, isn't it? Wait forever for one to come and three will turn up. It's on Nico Raskin. You'll maybe know better than me, but I get informed yet today that Rangers won't take any less than £20 million for him. It's not euros, it's pounds. They will not take a penny less, and they expect it to be driven up with the interest that's there. So that's good news, because £20 million is good money for a boy with 2 years left, Stevie, and we will wait and see what happens with him, because I heard a rumour again today that Aston Villa were also looking at him. So there's a lot of clubs quite interested in, are certainly sniffing about, put it that way. John Suter, well, that will happen whenever. Danilo, that will happen in time. There's still talk of Conor Barron and stuff like this, so we will wait and see how that goes. But again, if we are now in that predicament, if you like, where we are waiting for guys to go before we can proceed with bringing other boys in, then the quicker it happens, the better for Rangers and for us as fans, because as I say, we're actually almost here now. I mean, tomorrow night it will feel like the season's about to kick off, Stevie, and it does in earnest next Friday night, so it's not far away, and we're just excited, but we're still a little bit short. We discussed this last night as well. We still feel we're a little bit short, Stevie. We're still looking for a right winger. We're still looking for perhaps another centre half, at least one. We're looking for cover at left back. We've got a few places that we need to, our positions that we need to sort out. So the quicker these deals going outward happen, the better for everybody, I think, is the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all patiently waiting for the dominoes to start falling as such. Interesting question here. I'm going to answer this one because that gives me a good chance to kind of round off the podcast and speak about this. Natalie asked, since new ownership, Stevie, do you guys not get as much inside information from the club anymore? We never got any inside information from Rangers. Never. Rangers do not deal with you, and this stands for all transfers and injury news and team news and whatever else you want to ask them. Rangers don't answer. We're treated the exact same way as any other journalists are, which is incredibly good by the football club. We have access on match days. We have access to press conferences, and we have access to training days and media stuff and things like that. We get treated the exact same way. So, for example, with the club recently, when the team were out in Spain, we were invited out. Do we want to come to the training camp, etc., etc.? And we said no to that. So if we had wanted that access, we would have had that from Rangers, and Rangers treat us very well. There was an accusation on the other day on social media that we have to pay to get into Ibrox Stadium. That's not true in the slightest. Rangers Review don't advertise at Ibrox and they still get in. Daily Record don't advertise at Ibrox and they still get in. Four Lads' entry into the gantry is not premeditated by any payment to Rangers Football Club. We give to Rangers Football Club, Kenny, because we want to put money back into the football club. Now, £6,000 that we put in to sponsor CAF and mid-tier advertising, and that is not a lot of money to the football club. £6,000, all it is. But to us, it's a lot of money. And we've managed to raise that to put back in, and we're really proud of that. So if we didn't do it this season, there was no question that we were getting back in and we had our two seats. The way that Rangers have been with us has been pretty good. To go back to the original question of our relationship with the football club, we don't get inside information from Rangers, and we never have. Inside information will come from agents, people that are involved and around deals. What's probably changed from Fort Lads in recent years is that I don't post as much rumours and I don't post as much stuff as I used to, because it's simply not worth it. The abuse online and things like that, it just doesn't make it worth it anymore. So I've since we've started the podcast, we tend to just stick to what's been reported and what's out there. If I come out and say, I think this will happen, I think that will happen, before you know it, I'm getting Stevie Clifford said this, Stevie Clifford said that, and it's not quite true. So that's the honest answer, Natalie. I hope people kind of understand that. Relationship with Rangers is good, which is great for us because we'll get access on match days, we get to ask questions, we get to put the point across to the football club. We have a good relationship with sponsors and things of Rangers as well. So, no, I think from our point of view, Kenny, we do what we do because we want to do it, not because we're made to do it. And with regards to information and inside information from the club, or that doesn't quite work like that. I wish it did. I wish Andrew Kavanagh lifted the phone and said, Stevie, guess who we're getting in? But no, Rangers are really tight with everything, which is why you'll see business this year. The likes of Devlin, even the press were reporting that Rangers were in for him. Devlin had already signed by the time that was reported. So Rangers have completely changed and revamped the way they do things with regards to being tight with information and stuff like that. And I think that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's a cracking question from Natalie, actually, because it's allowed us to give a little bit of an insight. And I can honestly say this, that in my dealings, going with you up onto the gantry, the Rangers are just fantastic. The staff are just great with you. Everybody in there is brilliant. From Potsy to everybody else, they are absolutely phenomenal. But they don't tell you much, because they don't need to. And it is that simple. But a little insight into what we do, and we go and we do what we do. We do the match day vlogs and stuff like that. We had an issue last season that we discussed about doing it from the gantry, and Rangers were absolutely amazing to deal with, weren't they? When it came to it's them saying to us, look, we have a little bit of an issue because there is people put a lot of money into the game in Scotland, and they're not particularly happy about that. So can we deal with it in a slightly different way? That's the way they go about it. They're absolutely brilliant to deal with, and everybody there. That's the great thing about it. We also, I can say something a little bit about this situation with that quarter final that we started talking about today. We had a discussion about the allocation for the Parkhead game, if you remember, just after that, with a particular employee at the club, and he was absolutely brilliant with us saying about the hearing that was coming up with the SPFL and stuff like that. And that's what they'll do. They'll give you the information that they can, but they're not going to start feeding you tidbits of rumours and hearsay about guys coming and going. It's just not the way they work. They're far too professional for that. And my hat tips to them all the time, because every time I'm there, I'm in a little bit of awe about how slick the whole situation is up there. And it's, without being funny, I'm not saying it's changed days, but they are just a well-oiled operation, aren't they, on match day, and they do what they've got to do, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, things have changed, I think. Recently, that's for sure. It's quite annoying when you go and explain that why you're doing what you do, and then somebody puts paying £6,000 is for access. It's very frustrating. There's other media, there's other fan media that go on match day and don't sponsor the club and don't advertise with the club, and they're allowed in. So it's really not for access.
Stevie, this is why I don't do social media these days.
It's frustrating when you explain things and somebody asks a question, so you try to give an in-depth answer.
People only hear what they want to hear, and particularly on social media.
On answering, will we be allowed to do live from the gantry? We're only allowed to do live from the gantry when it's a non-match day. So can we do it from the friendlies? Pretty much, I'm sure we could be able to film from the gantries for the friendlies.
we've lost you, Stevie. So I'll haver for a bit until you come back. I think that is the situation. Oh, you there? You're back already.
Well, I'm in a hotel, so it's a dodgy reception, isn't it? So, on a match day, we're not rights holders, so it's only Sky and the radio stations that pay into the ones that have got the coverage that can film from the gantry. We're not allowed to do so, not even ourselves. But there's a way around it. You see, what we can do this season is we can get the guys that aren't on the gantry, that aren't in the press duties, like your Calvin and Doogies and stuff like that, to actually film the match day vlog, because they're in the stand, so they're allowed to do it. So we're going to go with it, and we'll muck about with it this year. We'll try and do something that everybody likes, as well as being able to bring the match day stuff from ourselves and from the press conferences and stuff like that. There's always a way to do it, and hopefully, Kenny, we can still bring stuff that people like. It is a bit of a nightmare not being able to do it, but what Rangers are effectively saying is that if we're live reporting on games and stuff like that, then why are Sky paying all the money in? And that's what Sky's argument and stuff like that is, and it's perfectly understandable. So Rangers have been great with us. It can't exactly go, now we're just going to do it anyway. So it's one, Kenny, that we'll maybe get to do in the friendly games because they're not covered by anyone. But for most games, especially European stuff and things like that, then it's not going to be possible. It was good while we could do it right enough.
Yeah, of course, but it's, whether people like it or not, it's perfectly reasonable for the likes of Sky and Premier Sports not to be overly happy about us catching goals live, and it is just the way it is, Steve. It's we Four Lads gives a few quid to Rangers, and they're forking out 30 million quid a season. So there's levels to that game, and that's just the way it is. I mean, it is. And what I would think is that what you've said there about the likes of Calvin or Doogie or whatever, doing a vlog, a match day vlog, Amrit doing a match day vlog, these are brilliant ideas. We could do a match day report at the end of it, that kind of thing. We will continue to do what we do. The great thing about it for me is that all we're doing, and I'm going to kind of encapsulate the entire conversation here. When you're talking about how hacked off you get with social media, there's a reason why I don't do it, mate. And people don't listen. They have their own warped perspective on things sometimes, and they'll turn around and tell you that, as you say, the reason that you get that is because of it's just not the case. And as you say, there's boys and lovely lads on another podcast, and if you want me, I'll name it, but if not, it makes no difference. The lovely lads that go in there and they don't pay anything and anything like that. So you do it, we go out our way at Four Lads to pay back Rangers for the privileges they give us. It's that simple. That's all we're trying to do, is give a little back for the privileges that they give us. And we do treat it like a privilege and an honour to go there and have that opportunity every single week. That I'll give another very quick insight into that. My highlight of the entire season last season was sitting with you and Davey over at Heart and Hand, and who walks in but Ali McCoyson sits down next to us for the best part of 2 hours. And that was just an absolutely amazing experience to be sitting there with somebody like that while he's working and getting the stories and getting at the insights. And it was just brilliant. And it was genuinely, I think, the highlight of my entire season last year, was just getting the opportunity to do that. And it's a privilege.
Yeah. I would think that Ali sat next to us because we had the big packets of sweets, to be quite honest. But and knowing Ali as we do, then he wasn't shy that night, that's for sure. But no, listen, hopefully that kind of answers the question for the football club. I don't think there's anybody, hopefully, that's confused about why we do it and what we do. If we didn't sponsor Rangers, or we didn't advertise with Rangers, and we didn't sponsor Cathy Hill and things like that, we'd still be in the country. It makes absolutely no difference. We try and just do it to give back to the football club, as Kenny says. Ali would be great in one of your interviews, Raymond. We have tried to get Ali. Ali is far too much money, far too much media contracts everywhere. Ali just can't do it. That's why he doesn't do it. And plus, what would you do with Ali's stories? You would need a 10-hour podcast just to hear the best of them, wouldn't you? But we're still working on who to get next. Mark Walters we just had, which is still there for all the members if you want to go and check that out. Kenny, thank you, mate. Tuesday pod in the bag. Tomorrow we are back at Ibrox Stadium for St Etienne versus Rangers. Really looking forward to it. I think there's going to be a post-match. The boys are coming on to do a post-match and we'll have a report from the stadium. So there's more match day coverage from Four Lads at Ibrox.
Yeah, nice wee show. Enjoyed that, mate. And it was nice to finish off with a wee, explanation as to what we do and why we do it and why we ignore the noise of social media these days. We just don't get involved in it because I find it very, very tedious and a bit boring. And can't wait for tomorrow, mate. Can't wait for it at all. Got that feeling, that buzz back that you're like, oh, here, we're back. It's all kicking off now. And it's exciting times, and we'll see how our new manager and some of our new players kick on from tomorrow. But as I say, they'll get 10 minutes. Well, I'll give them 50.
That's still a lot of time for me. I'm really looking forward. Listen, Rangers are back. Really looking forward to being back at Ibrox Stadium. And do you know what? Thank goodness we've made it through the summer. We've done our very best to try and bring you shows and updates. And I'm the first to admit, do we repeat ourselves and do we talk about transfers, over and over and think? Of course we do, but we're trying to bring you content. Sometimes there's not a lot to talk about. So we've done our very best. Your support, there's thousands again watching on all platforms. Your support in the comments, the guys that keep gifting the memberships. We've built a membership now of over 1,300 people. And all I can say is thank you very, very much. The one thing we all want this season is a successful Rangers, so let's hope we get it. Huge thanks to our sponsors tonight before we go. CBD Oil Scotland, your last chance to get on the hospitality for Sunday. Make a purchase on the website, quote 4 lads in the code, and you get 30% off. So go and do that now. You'll be entered into the draw for West Ham Hospitality. Also, huge thanks to our sponsors, Candid, LBJ Consultants, Elite Scooter Scotland, Metaclad, Four Lads Roofing Partners, and also to Aesthetics Cosmetics by Sharon. So quote 4 lads on their webpage for 10% off as well. I'm going to have to get better at the old sponsors. I'm going to have to get more fluent at that. We've got so many new ones, and we've got another 2 joining us as well. The support from people has been incredible, so we're absolutely loving it. So thank you, everybody. Final word, good luck to Derek McInnes. Welcome home, Derek, to all the players. Let's make this a season that counts. Great to be back tomorrow night. I'm really looking forward to it, even a friendly. I love Derek's word. Make sure that when I'm walking back up the tunnel, I've got a victory behind us. That'll do me very nicely. Good luck, Derek. Hope to see a few of you. If you do, please say hello at Ibrox tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to it very much. Great to have the Rangers back. Take care for now, folks. And yeah, have a good day tomorrow. And hopefully Rangers get a good win, friendly or not. Bye for now. The Four Lads Rangers podcast is sponsored by Candid, LBJ Consultants, CBD Oil Scotland, Elite Scooter Scotland and Metaclad, Four Lads exclusive roofing partner. The Aesthetic Lounge by Sharon. In partnership with Black Rooster, Art of Gold and Rangers Youth Development Company. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Four Lads Podcast is delighted to be sponsored by CBD Oil Scotland. Get a massive 30% off now for all their gummies and their oils. Go and check them out. These help with things like stress, anxiety, sleep patterns, mood, depression, even stuff like fibromyalgia. Go and check them out, cbdoilscotland.com. Use the code 4lads to get a massive 30% off. You enter right now and you'll be in the hospitality draw for tickets for Rangers versus West Ham. Derek McInnes' first game in charge
and you will get that opportunity not only to get 30% off, but you'll also be in the draw for hospitality tickets for West Ham. If you don't want to use the website, you can come into either shop here in Thornley Bank or in Kinnan Park. It's called Bits and Bongs. You go in there, use the code 4lads, and you'll get a massive 30% off. We're delighted CBD Oil Scotland are sponsoring 4lads. Check it out and go and help yourself to some oils, some gummies with a fantastic 30% off.